Is that cool or what?
First off, let's turn on the old weight-ometer, currently set to USA units. We're going to call that 33.5 pounds, 15.2 kilo units. Not shabby, not a weight weenie bike, but you know. Let's talk about this. All right, the poop and the scoop, the Brompton G Line. Who's this bike for? Who's it not for? Oh, if you had a Brompton G Line, what would you do first? A, set it up tubeless. 2, take it for a real gravel ride. C, mount water bottles, however you could figure out. Hey, you do you. Let's talk about what I found after a week of owning this thing. That's right, owning it. Let's talk about who this bike really isn't for. If you fall into this category, you're just going to want to blow out of this video as early as possible. If you are super anal, super uptight, super OCD about how a bike should be, how the fit should be, what the crank length should be, geometries have to be just so, you're wasting your time looking into Bromptons. If I am not a Brompton expert, I am not a G-Line expert, but I am a G-Line owner now. And I'll tell a story a little later what took me over the top, why I pulled the trigger on it. Bromptons remind me a lot like Jeep. I'm a Jeep guy from way back when. There's a lot of people that say, hey, it's a Jeep thing. You just don't understand. It's a Brompton thing. If it clicks for you, it makes sense. If it doesn't click for you, don't stretch it out. It's not for everyone by any stretch of the imagination. And to top it off, this one, the G Line, it's not even for Brompton owners. Generally speaking, it takes a special breed to want or need a G Line. Well, maybe not want one, but to actually be able to get use out of it. And I'm just a week into this thing. I'm 96%, I'm 95% sold that this is a fantastic bike for me. I think the best thing to do is kind of go over this front to back of what I've found so far. So we'll start right there. This right here, that's where you put this detachable pedal. The biggest benefit of a Brompton is it folds up into a nice tight package, but here's where it doesn't work for a traditional Brompton user. If your main focus of a trifold Brompton type bicycle is this most compact fold as possible, you most likely don't want to go to this G Line. These are 20-inch wheels and 20-inch tires. A traditional Brompton is 16-inch and it folds up into a much smaller package. Brompton was nice enough to send me a demo unit late last year of their C Line. The packability of it was amazing. I right away saw a benefit to that bike. The downside to that bike, it's not a multi-surface bike by any stretch of the imagination, and as a bike ride, it's not ideal. It's very Brompton-ish. Kind of goes what I was talking about. If you're a Jeeper, you get it. There are aspects of what makes the utilitarian parts of this bike, there's compromise there for other aspects of the bike. The Jeep, you like that top-down feel, you have the soft top, it's always going to be noisy. You want to take it off-road, do some serious rock crawling or mud, and you need bigger tires, more aggressive tread, it's always going to be noisy. It's not going to dart through traffic like a sports car. If you need those features, for a lot of people, it's worth the compromise. Brompton, there's compromise involved over a traditional bicycle. I know a Brompton makes sense for some use cases I need this type of bike for. What I wasn't sure of was whether the G Line or a more traditional one. The compromise of going to the G Line, the form factor gets a lot bigger, so it's not as packable. If your focus is as small of a footprint as possible, you probably want to lean towards a more traditional Brompton. Let's not bury the lead. First thing I did, I converted it to tubeless. I do plan to use this as a multi-surface bike, and this bike comes tubeless ready. By that I mean it has tubes, but the rims are tubeless ready and the tires are tubeless ready. Easiest tubeless conversion ever. It's been on gravel. We'll talk more about that in a bit. It does tremendously better than a 16-inch C-Line Explorer Brompton. And then 3 water bottle mounts. All right, so let's start getting nitpicky on the G Line and some of the things we like and don't like about it. My understanding is this is the first Brompton that came with water bottle bosses. This was the water bottle setup I got for my C-Line. The reality is once you start folding the bike up, water bottle cages can get in the way. Water bottle bosses on the stem here, and there's also water bottle bosses here on the fork leg. This one's been good except for one thing. Brompton, pay close attention to this. This came with super short bolts. I had to pull some bolts off another bike. It's a short bolt and you have to go way into the stem before the threads catch. And with this wonderful Arundel bottle cage, I could not get the threads to catch, so I had to find a longer bolt. You'll notice I have 2 water bottles mounts here, nothing here, and on this side there is no water bottle mount because this one definitely, it folds up against the frame in the tri-fold, so you can't put a water bottle here. But what happens on this side, when you tri-fold, the handlebar folds down. The water bottle cage I wanted pressed up against the shifter. It did not work. I had another bottle cage that it did work, but it didn't hold bottles. And when you have a fork mount cage, you need to have very secure bottles. This vibrates a lot. You're going to toss bottles. My recommendation to Brompton would be to actually provide an ideal water bottle cage, because it's going to be a hit or miss thing. It's going to be a trial and error thing. Does this bottle cage work on this fork mount? This is a luggage mount, bag carrier mount. The really cool thing about this is it's frame mounted, not bar mounted, so you don't have the weight shift of turning the bar. All the weight is carried here, and the bag is always forward, and it attaches and detaches really easily. Ergonomic grips, I like them better than traditional grips. It is a riser bar. This bike came out of the box dialed in and almost ready to go. Just a couple of little tweaks. One of the tweaks I needed to do was roll this bar forward a touch. 8-speed shifter. It's a micro shift shifter. And hydraulic disc brakes. Yes, I did say hydraulic disc brakes. That's new for Brompton. US version, my understanding is it only comes one way. It comes with the fenders and it comes with the luggage rack roller. I mentioned I'd tell the story of why I went this direction and pulled the trigger on this bike, and make no mistake, I pulled the trigger on this thing. I paid full price for a bicycle. I have never paid full price for a bicycle. And I paid full price for a bicycle that I wasn't sure, 100% sure, was the right bike for my knees. That's not Kevin's style at all. Don't tell my wife. She's going to kick my ass as it is. She's out of town. She's going to come back Monday. She's going to be, what the hell is this? At first she's going to be excited because she's going to think this is another demo. You know, at some point I'm going to have to explain to her that it's not. But here's what put me over the top. When I had the demo bike, it was a fantastic travel bike, and I recognize how useful that could be for me, for the travels that I do, and not having a bike on a hitch rack. I do a lot of gravel riding, and that's what I want to do. I do a lot of back roads riding. Mountain bike trails, fantastic if I can get them into the mix. The traditional 16-inch Brompton is just not appropriate for that, but I appreciated that the small form factor was something that I could utilize. So I was weighing, do I want the small form factor and take a gravel bike when I truly needed a gravel bike, or do I want to go out on a limb and go with a bike that I'm going to ride in the places I like to ride? One of the trips that we utilized the demo bike on was a camping trip that we took our camper on. So I can't do a hitch rack and the camper. So I was able to pack the Brompton, the wife and I and the dogs, on a camping trip by ourselves for a long weekend. When I had time to do a quick ride and get my daily riding in, I just hopped on the Brompton, and that was fantastic. The only downside being I couldn't ride any gravel roads. Flash forward from there, flashback a couple weeks from here, and we had a Spinistry adventure, our Chef's Kiss adventure, that I was debating how to structure things myself. I kind of wanted to take the camper, but I knew if I took the camper, I wasn't going to be able to load up the bike. I opted to load up the bike and take camping gear, which that in and of itself wasn't a bad deal. But for this type of adventure, that meant I had to throw a lot of stuff in the truck for our riders that we were supporting for the weekend. It just turned into an ordeal with my bad knees getting in and out of the truck and struggling around the hitch rack and the bike, and basically my knees have been a wreck ever since. That's kind of what put my head over the top. I'm going to try this. So I like to ride gravel roads. I like to ride rails to trails, things like that. But I can't do that on a traditional Brompton. So by gosh, I took the plunge and I got a G Line. So far, the short story is I'm pretty happy with it, but it is by far less than perfect. Next version of this is so close. The next version of this is going to be over the top perfect, but who knows when the next version will come out. I'm not sold on the fenders yet. I do like the mud flap. That's appreciated. When I do ride gravel, you hear it kicking up the rocks in there. So, I mean, it's kind of doing its job there, but I am concerned that it might pick up bigger rocks and something get wedged in. There is a noise that comes out of this front wheel from time to time, and I don't know if it's a weight load. I'm thinking it's a wind load because it's kind of breezy around here. I think a crosswind and a turn kind of catches that, and we get some rub. That's not a lot of wiggle room for tolerances. I'm thinking there's a good chance that I'm going to be pulling the front fender off. I haven't noticed anything on the back fender. This is a medium. That's another thing about Bromptons. All right, particularly if you're an endurance rider, fit's very important, right? It's very difficult to dial in fit on the Brompton. You don't have a lot of stem options. You're always raising and lowering the saddle. I know there's technically a solution, air quote solution for that. Is it worth the compromise? Probably. This is the Brompton saddle. Something really cool here. It's actually got a handle on it. But that's part of the fit too. I got the medium, and by the Brompton charts, I was supposed to be solidly a medium. I'm not convinced that that's the wrong size for me, but I would love to try out a large and compare the two. I don't know what the difference is between a medium and large. I think it's just the stem. I don't believe there's a seat post or saddle difference. Here's another thing, idiosyncratic. If you're riding this bike, you're riding these pedals. Yeah, sure, you can switch this pedal out, but this one you can't. It's got this quick release. I know I can't do it one-handed, and this quick release isn't great. Brompton do a better job with this. See? Damn it. There. Oh no, my hand's dirty now. So, yeah, you can't use another pedal on that. Right now, this is now officially my least favorite part of this bike. It isn't internally geared. Like I said, this is not a clean bike. This is a bike that's getting used, folks, and it's going to get used some more today and this weekend. So we have us the Shimano Alpine, I don't know, 8-speed. In Brompton world, that's a pretty decent range. In gravel world, it's not enough. Is it doable as a fair compromise? We'll find out in the long run. I haven't done a big hill with this yet. Just some small hills I've done. It's like, this gearing is not gravel gearing. Is it worth the compromise? Maybe have to walk some big hills or something like that, or go super slow. I'm not complaining about that. But if you're in the market for a gravel bike and you're considering this as your primary gravel bike, 99% of the people, this is not your ideal gravel bike. I think next generation of G Line, I don't know if it's 2 years from now, 10 years from now, My guess is it'll have more flexible gearing options one way or another. One thing I really loved about this thing, can we see it here? Can you see those two yellow lines there perfectly lined up? This was the coolest part about this bike, to be honest with you, and it's the Shimano thing. So that sight window there, when you're in gear 4 and you just use the barrel adjuster to fine tune the indexing on this shift, on this hub, when those two yellow lines are perfectly in line like that, you're indexed. And it works. That's a fantastic way to get a bike. I wish regular derailleurs worked that way. Just to be able to do a barrel adjuster and get it dialed in perfectly, that's so cool. This is the luggage rack and roller, both. So basically when the bike folds up, this is the bottom, and you can cart it around on the rollers. Very handy. This is an actual elastomer here. So you have a pivot for the folding on the bike, elastomer there. And that's the beauty of the tubeless. Let's go back to the tubeless. So we set this up tubeless at 50 pounds. My first gravel ride I did on it, I did 50 PSI, and it was a little rattly on the teeth. Not perfect, but I wanted to see what it was like. Got to the top of the trail, did a couple spritzes on the valve, and knocked down a few PSI, rode it back, and it was much better. When I got home, I threw it on the pump, and we were at 40 pounds then. So with my fat ass and 40 pounds, this thing feels fantastic on pavement, and so far comfortable on the gravel I've ridden it on so far, tubeless with 40 pounds. And the beauty of tubeless is we can try 35, we can try 30. 20-inch wheels and my fat ass, I don't see going under 30 pounds on this thing, and probably 35 is going to be pushing it, but we'll find out. We'll find out the hard way. So when I did get the demo bike, I splurged and got the Brompton tool, multi-tool. It's really cool. It's got Brompton specific tools and a little ratchet thing, and it slides into this tube that fits right into the frame of the bike when you have it unfolded, and that was really cool. And it's like, well, I'll go ahead and make that investment even though it's a demo bike, because I know I'm going to buy a Brompton someday. That doesn't work on the G Line. The elastomer does work. I think that's pretty cool. So far I like it a lot, and I definitely know I'm going to get use out of it. The short bolts here are not perfect, but the actual mounting location itself, I really dig this. Here's my suggestion to Brompton. Do this on this side and do it on this side too. Let me make sure I'm looking at this correctly. I think, well, the way it looks to me, there's more clearance here than there is here. So Brompton, that would actually be kind of a cool setup. More adjustability in general would be greatly appreciated. Stem and seat post. Oh, well, I'm just now looking at this. I could turn this around the other way and have more setback, right? Huh. I might have to play with that. So maybe there is more adjustability at the seat post than I was thinking. I didn't see anything in the instruction. I've never seen anyone mention that either. Maybe that gives us some sort of setback adjustability, or maybe there's different clamps with different placement. That's something there. How do I switch that out? So maybe a slightly different stem. Hey Brompton, reach out to me. Help me figure out what the best way is to adjust sizing, because I don't know what I'm going to need yet, but I have some plans to do some very long rides with this thing. And fit is key to very long rides. The reality is, if you're doing 60 minutes or less, it's fine. 60 minutes or less of riding, it's fine. 90 minutes or less of riding, it's fine. It might start to get a little uncomfortable if the fit's not dialed in. Once you start getting 2 hours or more, once you start getting 4, 5, 6 hours, that fit has to be dialed in. Oh, here was another thing. Didn't want to forget about this. I had to throw this Velcro strap on here. I'm not going to take it off because it's working too well. Without it, this cable kept wanting to come up against the chain ring. So Brompton, address that too. I don't know. Maybe take the clip further in. Maybe run it higher. Something. I don't. Maybe higher would do it. I don't know. But see, this is how you run the cable switch. That part I like, and I get that you need all of this, for lack of a better term, this is not critical. I get it. You need all of this cable slop for the fold to work. I get that completely. The way this one works on this cabling and this frame presently is without additional retention. This rubs right up against there as it is, and obviously if there's a crosswind coming that way, it's going to be that much worse. Obviously, if you're jiggling and shaking on gravel, I don't think it's ideal for these cables to be going up against the chain. That's just a guess. Call me silly. I like the bike a lot. I know it sounds like I'm bitching and moaning, and I'm really not. I'm just bringing up points that folks want to be aware of. I'm 1 week into this bike, and I took a plunge that I've never taken before in my life. I usually research the hell out of major purchases before I did research the hell out of it. There's no doubt about that. But in this case, research should have included actually trying the bike out, making sure the fit, making sure it did what I needed to do. And I'm doing that, but not in the traditional way. So take my feedback for what it is. I'm going to have a lot more of this. I do plan to put a lot of hours in the saddle, a lot of miles on those tires, and I'm looking forward to it. It's been a fun bike so far, and I'm looking forward to finding out what its capabilities are, and more importantly for y'all to find out what it's not capable of. Let me know what you think. Let me know what questions you have. Comments are definitely appreciated. It'll tell us what additional content we need to put out. I expect to have a first real gravel ride wrap-up video fairly soon. So far it's done well on the limited gravel I have run it on. 15 miles at a time here and there on some pretty tame stuff so far. Try to do a longer ride, incorporate some chunk. I did ride one super short section of what's basically rail bed ballast yesterday, and this bike was terrible on it, but every bike would have been terrible on it. It did it. It wasn't happy about it, and mostly it was the bike did fine. It was just 20-inch wheels just were not enough, as loose and as chunky as all of that ballast rock was. And I didn't expect it to do well on it. It's something I would never ride if I had a choice. And I got to a point, it's like, I can keep riding this crap, or I can hop up on that paved sidewalk over there. And I went up to the paved sidewalk. I would have done that on my mountain bike. So Brompton, it's a good bike. It's not a perfect bike yet. I got full faith that the second edition, whenever it comes out, is going to be pretty damn close to perfect. Well, this one's seems pretty damn close to perfect so far. It's a great bike. It's one of a kind. There's nothing else like it in the world, and the workmanship is top notch. The quality is top notch. I don't know that somebody in London's going to know what real deal USA gravel's like, and the stupid shit people in the USA would do on a bike like this. I know a lot of people that would do stupid shit on this bike, and I'm one of them. Thanks for hanging out. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends.